person, I run Hub 101, which is the co-working space and startup incubator, part of HAL Lutheran University. We are located in Westlake Village. And this week at Hub 101 is a series that we just recently launched. Desserin's course is the second one of the series, so this is super new. Our first one was last week. We're going to have these every single week. The topics are going to be completely different. If you want to stay up to date on what those are, you can either join our newsletter or you can just go to our website, hub101.org, and there's a tab on there that says This Week at Hub 101, and that will have our schedule. We're just solidifying our topic for next week. It's going to be related to digital marketing and defining your brand. And the week after that, I believe, is going to be more techie around cyber security. So varying topics, that's how you can stay up to date. Hope to see you all around Hub 101 at some point. You're more than welcome to stop on by. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Awesome, thanks, Kristen. Hello, everybody. My name is Desserin. Can you guys hear me? Hi.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be with everybody. And this is my first time teaching this particular workshop. And I would, it's very interactive. Oh, we have more participants coming in. So she'll be my live guest for today. All right, so my name is Desserin, and I am a business coach based in San Fernando Valley, and I work with mostly startups and smaller nonprofits. And I saw the need for the arts community to have some tools from the business world. And I'd like to share that with you today. So this course is going to be, there's a lot I want to go through, and it's very interactive, and there will be some writing, we'll do some visualizations. So there might be some cheesy music, some good times. So bear with me. And if you have any questions anywhere along the way, please feel free to ask, and we will have wonderful conversations. All right, so this is strategic business thinking for emerging artists. Okay, come on. This is, okay, next page, perfect. All right, so I think that's just a fun little cartoon there about strategic thinking. So enough with all the strategic planning. Get out there and kill something. So here's our outline. We'll do an introduction. What is strategic thinking? What is strategic? Oh, sorry. Let's see. What is strategy and why do we need it? We'll talk about visions and roadmaps and mistakes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So my name is Desserin Pereyra. I'm a business coach for small businesses and nonprofit organizations. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and fun fact, in the Army I used to clean teeth. So that's what I used to do. I actually came from a family of artists. My grandfather was a muralist. My uncles, they're all painters. My father's the only closeted painter, so he paints, but he doesn't send it out into the world. And that's one of the reasons why I want to help artists and give them the tools they need to share their beautiful gifts out there. I'm also a graduate of CLU, the professionals program, and I'm an executive MBA student. And I am currently working on professional development programs for artists in the San Fernando Valley, and I'm partnering, and this is very, very new, I'm starting to partner with some other organizations, and once we get everything up and running, I'd love to see you all out there. Any questions so far? All right, so as long as the slide, come on slide. All right, well, this was supposed to be a stick figure holding up a piece of art by himself. So he was a stick figure with his art, and he's all alone. And who's ever been that guy? How about that? Who's ever been in that position? Yeah? So how can a strategic approach help artists? So having a strategic approach can help create mental bandwidth. If you have a map of where you're going, you know how to get there, and you can have more slack to spend on your work. So a lot of these concepts come from a book called Scarcity. And the concept is, if you have, sometimes we have so much going on, we don't have a lot of time, we don't think we have a lot of resources, but in that, it's kind of like having all our browsers open all at once. So it's hard for us to concentrate on our work when we're thinking about other things. You know, we're thinking about where's our paycheck's gonna come from, where are we gonna get our next meal, how are we gonna fund our next project, who are we gonna collaborate with, and having this a map frees up that mental bandwidth. So we'll work with some of those tools today. And also having a roadmap in place or a strategy in place that will help you communicate your creative vision more effectively. All right. So it seems like the computer is thinking. Yeah. So the concept of having that creating slack in amidst of scarcity is actually very helpful for what I've noticed for people that are struggling with the concept of not having enough. And I know that a lot of artists sometimes have that feeling, especially when they're going out in the world on their own. They have all this work, they don't know where to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually write our creative visions, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 3 years out into the future, right? And then we're going to give ourselves permission to dream that we want to do with our creative selves. What do we want our art practice to look like? What do we want to see? Who do we want to collaborate with? How do we want our art to be received by the community? And who do we want there with us? Okay, so I would love for this to be a pen and paper type of exercise. So if you have a pen and paper, so this will be a pen and paper exercise, and go ahead and we'll take about 10 minutes maybe to go through this, right? And then we'll have 1 or 2 people share at the end. So before we start, let's ground in. We're gonna go ahead and close our eyes. We're gonna take a deep breath. Exhale, and we're going to set an intention. We're going to bring ourselves 3 years into the future. And when you open your eyes, it is going to be September 28, 2024. And you're going to see what your practice is going to look like, how you're going to feel, and who's going to be with you. Include all the sights and the smells and the sounds that are going to be in that day. So we'll place ourselves at around 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so go ahead and open your eyes and we'll take the next 10 minutes to write. All right. All right, how we doing? Feeling good? How was that little trip to the future?
It's soothing.
Yeah. Oh man, I had like, you'll see it in a little bit. I had like the slide with the music. It was all planned out. And of course, it didn't work out, but you know, well, we're quick on our feet, right? So recap, we'll talk about why we need strategic approach for to help artists. It'll help us with mental bandwidth. It'll give us some space so that we can actually, if we have things mapped out and if we have things on paper or somewhere where you can easily access it and reference it, you can communicate it easily, but you can also help free space in your mind for things that are important, like actually creating your art, right? When you're not worrying about all the other things. So there's often confusion about what business strategy is. So according to Watkins, a business strategy is a set of guiding principles that when communicated and adopted in the organization, generates desired pattern of decision-making. So strategy is therefore about how people throughout the organization should make decisions. And in your case, if you're an artist, the organization is you as the artist, your work, and the people that are either viewing your work or the people that are helping you in that journey. So you have to think of yourself as not just you as one person, but you as part of this bigger entity, this bigger vision, which may or may not include more people than you, but if you are there, and we're here because we want to present our work to everybody, right? The people that are engaging with your work, they're also part of your organization. So we have to think of ourselves as a bigger piece of the puzzle, okay? And then how we should allocate these resources in order to accomplish key objectives. And a good strategy provides a clear roadmap consisting of a set of guiding principles and rules. So I like to think about strategy as a roadmap, right? And let's see, next slide. So maps are a lot more complex than just for, you know, the line that goes from A to B. So there are many roads. You have a destination, you have a starting point, but there are also many roads. There's many ways to get to your destination than just one. So strategic thinking isn't just that going from, you know, how do I get from point A to point B, but if, you know, what are the other things that are gonna come my way? You know, what if I plan something and it doesn't work out right? What if I plan a show and it doesn't work out? What if the materials that I want to use for my vision aren't available? What will I do? And I have a deadline. So we need to be able to think quickly on our feet. We need to think about who can help us along the way, because there's going to be other people around there, right? And just opening ourselves up, thinking ourselves as bigger than just us alone, because we're in this together. So here are some considerations for an artist strategy. First is our vision, right? Where do we want to be? So that's one of the exercises that we did earlier, right? Creating that vision. Our values, right? Our values are like our compass. Resources, what resources do you have around you? You know, part of that is also your peers, the people around you, what organizations are out there, the external environment, what's happening around you. Please, I apologize, I forgot your name, but what you were sharing, Doya?
Yeah.
What is your name again? I'm so sorry.
Abel.
Yeah, what Abel said earlier, that there's a lot of grants that are out there, right? That's part of our external environment, and just knowing what's out there, keeping our radars, you know, open for that, and then goals and milestones. So we're gonna go on to exercise 2 now, which is our roadmap. So for the roadmap, now that you have your now that you have your vision with you, hopefully, or at least an outline of your vision or an idea of that, we'll start creating a map. And this map will have a starting point and a destination. So the starting point is today, right? And then the destination is that vision that we just made. And we're going to think about how are you going to get to your destination? So think about all those variables that were there earlier. Remember, like the external environment, your thinking about your values, thinking about the people that can help you along. You know, what are your resources? What do you have? And don't just think within your own little bubble, think about your community as well, your network. Those are their resources are also your resources as well. So there's a concept called collaborative bricolage, where you get pieces of different resources from different people. And we want to implement that in our lives when we think about our strategic plan or strategic thinking process to get to our destination. So what I want you to do is create at least 3 milestones. You can have more, but I think it's nice to have at least 3 in your map, for one, at least for each year. And then you can fill your map with as much detail as possible. And if you want to draw it out, you can do that. For our participants that are here, you can actually use the whiteboard, and we have these lovely pens here that you can use, and you can create your map and can go crazy with it. Okay, and you guys at home too, if you have your colors, if you have your crayons, use them. All right. So, all right. That's a little example. Doesn't have to be like this, but you guys kind of get the picture. Let's put some. So I'll give you guys another 7 minutes. What do you think? Okay, 7 minutes. Okay. Now we got music. All right. So how's everybody doing? So sometimes we get so in our head sometimes, and it, all our ideas get all very overwhelming, and having a place to put your thoughts and organize them, because once they're on paper, they're there, they're kind of real and they're tangible, but they're not fixed. So one thing about the roadmap and your vision work and all that, once you start getting new information and knowing, what's out there, meeting new people, you can always move things around, right? So it's not fixed, but at least it's there and you know it and you can communicate it because it's a real thing now. So it's like birthing your baby. So like any map, and it's just a guide, but you decide the route to your destination. So if one way doesn't work, right, but you still want to hit those milestones, and you have, that's the thing about strategic plans sometimes in the business world, where it's so rigid. Okay, we're going to do this in Q1, Q2, Q3, and we have to hit these goals. Things come up, right? And as long as you get to your milestone, as long as you get to your destination, and you live within your values, does it really matter, how you got there? So it's nice to have those, your little roadmap, because if things happen and it doesn't quite work out, you can see what happened and why, and you can write it down. You have a little place, okay, this didn't work, right? That's part of the strategy. And the word strategy, itself came from, it has its roots in military. So if things don't work out, right, in your battle plan, you can always change things up, just to make sure that you get to where you're going, you get to your destination, you win that battle. Okay, so as this wise man once said, who knows this guy? Of course, Elvis, right? Values are like fingerprints. Nobody's are the same, but you leave them all over everything you do. So the next thing that we're going to do another exercise, and it's going to be, we're going to identify our values. All right, so this is a list of values which I borrowed from our dear friend Brene Brown. She is awesome. And this list isn't exhaustive, but it has a lot of values that we can pick from. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to identify our values. So don't overthink it, right? What I want you to do is pick 15 that resonate with you. If there's a value that you have that's not on this list, you can put it in there as well. from that list of 15, I want you to pick your top 10. All right, and from there, your top 5. Right, and from there, you guessed it, top 3. And those top 3, I want you to put them in order. How are we doing? We all got our values, our top 3, all in order, right? So take a moment to just really look at them and sit with them and think about how you've been interacting with those values in your daily life. Have you been living up to those values? And sometimes when we do our work, right, or when we collaborate with other people, or when we go down a roadmap and we lose sight of those values, there are times when we feel a little icky or because it doesn't resonate with us. We're not being true to our values. And I have an example of that because one time, like one of my values is freedom, right? I like my personal freedom. I like to do things the way I want to do things. And I was working at this place and it didn't quite sit well with me. And the funny thing is, all I needed to do is just change one aspect from being a W-2 employee to being like an independent contractor. And that gave me like my mental freedom back. And I was doing the exact same job, right? But it helped me live within those values and perform my job even better. So when you think about the values are not abstract things, right? Unless you keep them abstract. You can take a value like forgiveness, or how about financial stability, right? Or faith, or fairness. You take one of those values and you turn that into a behavior. So this is something that you can do in your own time. I would highly suggest reading, I think it's like part 3 in Dare to Lead. This is a wonderful book by Brene Brown, and she does a really good job about explaining how to use values in your daily life so that they become more concrete. So here you go, your values are your compass. So when we go down our roadmap that we have, think about those values as a compass. And if you feel lost, take some time to sit with yourself and say, is the route I'm taking, are the people that I'm dealing with, is where I'm presenting myself as an artist, or how my art is being represented, does it fit my values? As long as you know where you're going, you can always find a way to get there. And that, if you take anything from our workshop, this is your big takeaway. So knowing your destination, knowing your compass, right? And that, in a nutshell, is basically strategic thinking. Knowing what you have, how to use it, and what are your tools, and remembering your compass, and using that and making a roadmap, right, for yourself with all those tools. So I thought this would be good for you to have. These are some suggested reading that I've collected along the way. The practice, has anybody read this one before? Yeah, so it just came out, I think, like last year. So Seth Godin, he put out a lot of business books, but this one in particular is for creatives. And it talks about the practice of creation, of being an artist or an entrepreneur, or anybody who has a big idea. And he talks about concepts like generosity in our work, and how generosity is not giving it away for free, right? But it's being generous in what we do. And it's not thinking as a business, as a profit, a generating vehicle, right? We do art because we want to share. We do art to contribute. And having that in our mindset. And that's one of the reasons why I like working with artists, because I believe that with one artist and one piece of work, you can create lots of ripples in the community and contribute a lot. So I really believe in investing in art and artists, and have that value in yourself too, and make sure that, I want to be able to make sure that everyone has the tools where they can actually ship their art out and create the impact that you intend to have with your art. Dare to Lead, so that's where the values exercises can be found. Her thoughts on how to turn abstract values into concrete behaviors. Strategic thinking, this is a LinkedIn learning course, so if you're in CLE, you can get this for free. Hers is really, really good, so there are a series of courses that you can use. All right, so it's 5 o'clock. Scarcity, this is a great one. It's a bigger read. And Vivid Vision by Cameron Harold, so that's where you can find those that vision exercise. I think we're right on time here. Here's my contact info. Feel free to email me anytime. I will work one-on-one. see, and if you want me to connect you to anybody in my network, I will happily do so. I love working with artists, and if anybody out there in your community would like to help artists, I'll try to make that connection and see what we can make out of it.